I always say this is out-care everyone. Out-care everyone. Truly, genuinely, at your heart of hearts, in your soul, out-care people. Podcast fans, what's happening? Todd Durkin here with the Impact Show, and I am so fired up today for what will be an awesome episode. Now, this is all called Starting Your Business, and it stems from a recent conversation I had with a girl named Carly Golightly, and she's a naturopathic physician doctor who's opening up her own practice here in 2020. And now get a picture here. I'm on the treadmill at Fitness Quest 10, and Carly comes up to me and says, "Hey, Todd, I'd love to pick your brains on how I could start my own business and some of the lessons you've learned in starting Fitness Quest 10 20 years ago." I said, "Carly, one thing. If I'm going to take this and answer these questions, we have to do it on the Impact Podcast Show." And she said, "Absolutely, I'd be honored to." So that's what we have here today. She's going to fire away some great questions. And regardless of whether you are in business for yourself, you work for a company, this is all about delivering value for you, because the questions that Carly asks are really going to help you grow your career, amp up your business, and help you be as successful and significant as possible in whatever industry you're in. So you're going to enjoy this session. As a matter of fact, I want to get some feedback from you. I want you to share this session. If you enjoyed today's session, please make sure you share it, because I had a ton of fun doing this session with Carly Golightly. Let's go to the episode now without further ado. But first, let's hear from one of our awesome sponsors. Hey guys, today's episode is sponsored by my friends over at Carnosine Beta-Alanine. Let me ask you a question. Who's looking to amp up your workout routine, your training routine? You want to get stronger, faster, more explosive? You want to improve your endurance? Well, my friends, Carnosine Beta-Alanine is an ingredient found with many of the top pre- and post-workout supplements. Along with the right training program and the proper nutrition, you got to eat right. Carnosine Beta-Alanine is going to help build your strength, endurance, and your power. How do you do it? Well, essentially 3.2 grams a day. You want to essentially get 90 grams over a 28-day period, about 3.2 grams per day, and you're going to love the way you feel on it. I've been using it for over 20 years, literally on my workout days, on my non-workout days, and I endorse it heavily with my athletes. Why? Because when you're looking for the edge and when you expect the best out of your body, you got to make sure you eat right, you train hard, you're constantly living inspired. And my friends over at Carnosine Beta-Alanine have the best product on the planet. Over 55 independent studies show that it has zero banned substances. That's an important thing. You always want to put the right stuff in your bodies. Go to team.carnosine.com. Check it out in the Find It section. You go to your local health food store, or just go to team.carnosine.com and pick some up today. All right, we're back, and this is going to be a fun episode. So today we've got Carly Golightly in the house. Carly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Todd.
Absolutely, great. Give us a little backstory. Like, here I am, I'm working out, and you're like, I want to pick Todd's brain. Like, how did you get to the point where you even want to start your own business? What brings you up to the point where today we're on the podcast, and you're about to start your own business? What brings you up to starting your own business?
So I'm a naturopathic doctor,
Yep.
and I recently finished my training. I've always known that I wanted to start my own business because I feel like that's the way that I can reach the most people. Working for people is one thing, but when you feel like you have your own mission and your own business going on, that's when you really feel like you can control it and bring it into areas of the community that you might not be able to do otherwise.
Yep. So what got you into naturopathic medicine?
So like most NDs, we have really long, winding stories about how we got there.
Give me the CNN version.
So I had a ton of health problems when I was a little kid. I had a lot of gastrointestinal issues, anxiety, depression, stuff like that. And
Since how old?
Since, I think I was 13 when this stuff when it
So
started
13,
happening.
what started reeling its ugly head? What?
A lot of anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah,
School?
that was the biggest
Family?
thing. It was, maybe a little bit of school, a little bit of everything, really. It was like all of a sudden I just had this very real, sensation of how heavy things could be in life.
So were you in 8th grade or freshman year?
I think that was freshman year.
Okay.
Freshman year of high school.
And where did you grow up?
Yeah, Poway.
Oh, you're in, okay. So right here, Poway is a neighboring town of where I'm filming right now, Scripps Ranch, on that. So you started to get anxiety. Keep going.
Yep. Anxiety that culminated into, a little bit of depression as well. And then started getting, knowing what I know now, I know that the anxiety caused a lot of physical issues. So that's when I started getting like the GI issues and stuff like that. Had trouble sleeping, just was not in a good place.
All through high school?
All through high school.
Were you an athlete as well?
I was, yeah.
Did you feel stress and expectations from that, or you felt that was more of a release of that?
For me, initially, I got a release from it, but as the competition ramped up, I didn't feel that. And to be honest, we had a little bit of squabbling going on my team, and I didn't really get that same team feeling that a lot of people had from their high school athletic experience.
What was your sport?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah.
So you play at Poway, then you go to college? Where'd you go?
Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff.
Okay, beautiful place.
Gorgeous.
And then tell me just a little bit more about what got you into the integrative medicine, the functional medicine. Yeah.
Yeah. So it really kind of started in high school.
Yeah.
I worked at a place called Smoothie King, which is right there on Poway Road.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I worked there all through high school. And that was the first time I was ever really exposed to nutrition and supplements and things like that. We had this big, huge nutritional Bible that was out there. And whenever we had a break, I would just go out and start reading about it. And that was the first time I started learning about, different vitamins and herbs and things like that. And I was like, man, this stuff is really cool. Maybe there's something to this. And from there, that just led me into, fitness and exercise, learning more about how you can use that to really change your body. And then it just kind of became this quest that I had to heal myself and figure out why I was having the issues that I was having. And I'll be honest with you, when I was in college, I had wanted to go into orthopedic surgery. And I went down the whole route, took the MCATs, applied to go. I was going to go to the University of Miami, do the whole thing.
You had life figured out. You had it all figured out, mapped out.
All
from time.
figured out.
Yeah, okay.
All figured out. And then I was doing my, so I was rotating at the, or not rotating, sorry, shadowing at the Maricopa Medical Center in their operating room. And I just remember seeing all of these patients who had come in, and pretty much all of them, so a lot of diabetics, things like that, people with heart disease stuff, completely preventable things, completely preventable. And I spent a lot of time with the patients, with their families, and I just remember them saying, I wish I had known. I wish that someone had taken the time to educate me. I wish that I had changed my life. I wish that I had changed my diet.
So a light bulb went off in your head.
Yeah,
How
light
old were
bulb
you?
went off in my head. I was 22 at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had life figured out. You're going to medical school.
Yeah.
You were going to solve the world's problems through allopathic medicine.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
then that light went off.
Yeah.
And
I completely switched gears.
okay.
Completely
And
switched
where
gears.
did you end up going to school for naturopathy?
I went to the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine.
Where is that?
That's in Tempe.
Okay.
Yeah, not like a stone's throw from ASU, basically.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that took you how long?
4 years.
4 years. All right. And then you've been practicing for how long?
So I finished my training in June, and so I started practicing in October of this year.
October 2019, as you're listening this here in 2020. So, all right, this is good. So your question is about starting your own business. How old are you now?
Right. I'm 29.
29. Good. So you're 29. That's when I started my business, by the way.
Hey.
I was 29.
Perfect.
So this is going to be a little bit reverse. I'm not asking Carly questions. She's going to be firing questions away at me. I might still ask you some questions, but starting your business, what do you want to know about starting your business?
Well, okay. So the first question that I really have for you is about authenticity. So we talk a lot and we hear a lot now about authenticity as being this almost like strategy, like almost a marketing strategy that people use. And I'm just curious to know what you think about that strategy of being authentic, and if there were any sides of your personality early on that you were afraid to show, and if they ended up becoming strengths later.
Yeah. It's interesting. I never look at authenticity as being a strategy. It just, authenticity to me is just being real, because if you're not, I think that does induce anxiety.
Right.
Like
right.
if you're not being real, then how do you operate if you're not that? To answer part B of your question, I think early on, I was most I'll say timid about sharing my faith. My faith in God, because I always always had a strong faith, but I was always like, man, should I share I'm going to church, and should I share that? Now, again, when I started my business 2000, social media wasn't even a thought back then. But people knew my character was high, but I was never a Bible beater or anything like that. But I always like, well, I don't really want to share my faith. I don't think I was as confident at 29, 30 years old with my faith. And whereas now I am who I am, and people like me or not, and I don't judge people with that, whatever their faith is. And to this day, I don't go out there and thump, but I am a man of faith, and my character and who I am, I don't quote hide behind that on that. So I think if there's anything as far as like, were you afraid to show early on? I was a little bit more afraid to show that was a big part of who I am, and that's what made me who I am. That's what allowed me to overcome some of my own limited beliefs and things like that. Was my faith was and still is a very big part of who I am.
On that note, what kind of limiting beliefs or big emotional or mental blocks did you have early on?
Mental blocks early on. Do I deserve success?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Do I deserve success?
Yeah.
Because again, at that point, I had just overcome 5 years of trying to solve my own issues. I had a back injury 5 years prior to opening up my business, and I spent the last 5 years being a vagabond, pretty much, not making money, going to school, getting certifications, living on people's couches, and doing what I had to do to survive. And now all of a sudden, I open this business with no clients, no money, no business plan. I don't recommend, Carly, you doing that, by the way. But that was a different era, and I was able to get away with it. But part of it was up top was like, do I deserve success? How am I as a, quote, athlete? Because I still viewed myself as an athlete. I don't know anything about business. So how am I going to be successful when I don't know anything about that? Then as it started to kind of roll after a few months, it was like the next thought was like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? Mm-hmm. Is this really happening? Was that. Another limiting belief was, can I afford to hire this person? Because money. Yeah. I'm youngest of 8 kids, and I didn't grow up with money. Yeah. Can I afford to hire this person when money doesn't grow on trees? Yeah. You hear that from your parents, right? You hear that still, like, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, how do I afford to hire a person when, like, hey, I can afford to pay the bills, and how do I hire a front desk person or a GM or another trainer or a marketing person? Yeah. Even now to this day, 20 years later, it's very, very like, does it make sense to hire this person? Yeah. It's got to make sense, because everyone that's on your team costs money, right? So I think those were some of the early on, some of the mindsets or limitations potentially.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you're talking about, hiring team members and stuff like that. And obviously, if you're going to be spending money, you want to make sure that you're making a wise investment in bringing somebody onto your team. So what are some of the non-negotiable things that you would look for in hiring a team member or, partnering up with somebody?
Well, first off, when I look at a teammate, they certainly have to be hardworking. Yeah. Like now that's hard to find. Like, how do you know if they're hardworking in an hour interview? Right. Like, hey, I want a hard worker. I want someone that's going to run through a wall and want to be successful. We do have an internship program here that we have great success in finding out, is this person someone of the DNA of Fitness Quest 10? I want them to be ethical. I want them to have integrity, do what's right when no one's watching. They've got to fit our culture. And at Fitness Quest 10, it's one of the things we're most known for is, an extremely positive culture. Energy's got to be there, so our culture is important on that. A team player, I look to see their background of, do they come from a team environment, either athletically, or have they worked for an organization that has great, superior customer service? And the last thing I'd say in that is, do they have the it factor? I used to look for people with impressive resumes, master's degrees, PhDs, and I hired my share of those people. But some of those people were duds. Duds, like they had no energy, no personality. And I wanted someone that could fire people up, that could pull that energy out of somebody and have the it factor. Even our directors of first impressions, the people at the front, man, I want them to have that it factor that's going to make people feel good and have the energy to make people smile. So these are some of the things I look for in an interview. I would say our interview process is certainly, it's kind of grueling, honestly. I take great pride in bringing people on our team that I think are going to have a career here, not just a job. Yeah. And it's the hardest thing. It's in any business, it's the people. But I also take great pride in attracting the right people. I don't think you find great people. I think you go out and you attract good people who you can help make great by the culture that's instilled at your business.
Yeah. I think something that I admire the most about Fitness Quest 10 is the culture that you guys have created here. I've only been a member here for, I think, like 2 months now, and I feel like part of the family, and I felt that way from the moment that I stepped in the front door. So you guys have really done something really incredible here, and I commend you for that because it's awesome.
Well, thank you, and hopefully what you create your own practice, you can use some of the same principles that we use here because we take it carefully. Cultures don't happen by mistake. It's not a mistake that everyone's friendly, or when we do mess up, we do mess up. We do. But when we make a mistake, that we correct it and make sure that someone leaves with a smile, despite maybe someone's schedule got mixed up, or they didn't show up, or they slept in, or whatever the mistake may have been, that we correct it. Because remember this: if someone is happy about your business, they'll tell 5 people, and if they don't like you, they'll tell 30 people. That's a fact, by the way, folks. You don't want people not liking your business because you or someone on your team messed up. So when you make a mistake, it will happen. Make sure you correct that mistake and you wow them with how you recover from that mistake, because, man, I love when everything's simpatico and flowing freely and it's beautiful and all that. And it drives me nuts when we make a mistake. Trust me, it drives me nuts. But it happens, and we try to do everything we can to recoup, to make sure that someone understands that, and we listen to them, and that we can improve that next time, and even edit, modify, correct our systems to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Speaking of mistakes, were there any big mistakes that you made early on in your small business? Were there times when you felt like things were falling apart and nothing was working, and what did you do to get out of it?
Was there ever a time where I felt like things were falling apart?
Yeah.
Remember, you're talking to probably the most optimistic guy. Like, I honestly think that there's times like I probably was oblivious to the fact that maybe things are falling apart, and I just have this like honestly, like I'm either in denial or I'm just really that much of an optimist. But honestly, I would say no. Like, I've never felt like things are falling apart. I have felt like there have been rough patches and some rough seas. 2009, there was an economic depression that, wiped out a lot of businesses in America. Now, it's interesting that we actually grew during that time because of a maniacal focus that we're not going to participate in the recession that was happening in America. And I went on this rampage that do not let your health and fitness suffer during one of the most stressful times. Now, I think in San Diego, we're more sheltered out here than if you live in the Northeast, where Wall Street was crushed, and my trainer friends in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, up the Eastern Seaboard, it was much more impactful for them because many of their clients were directly impacted from that. There's been times when our team wasn't right. There's been times when, like, I couldn't put a finger on some of the I couldn't put a pulse on the chemistry of what was wrong. And I'm always looking at, like, a GM of an NFL organization or any professional organization or any big business. It's like you're trying to, like, manipulate the strings of, like, who's placed where, and maybe, like, I'm a very much a kinesthetic leader. Like, I try to have a feel, and I can feel when the energy isn't right. And I sometimes can't always put on the finger of what it is. And a lot of times your team doesn't want to tell you what the problem is. Sometimes your leadership team doesn't want to tell you the problem. Sometimes you are the problem. But there have been times like that, and that has often led to change, including sometimes people either quitting or being fired. It's interesting when someone gets fired, isn't it? That you find out after someone gets fired that you wish you knew months ago what people are saying about that person when they were fired, because of sometimes you just find out stuff after the fact and like, why didn't you tell me that? Or client, why didn't you tell me that? I don't think people want to hurt people's feelings. So I'm always trying to, like, as from a leadership standpoint, how can I be a better leader on that? But I think those times were probably the most frustrating times. The other thing, as far as falling apart, that I feared falling apart, a few years back, I was on a show called Strong on NBC.
I watched that.
You watched it. Very
yeah,
good.
I did.
If you haven't watched it, folks, if you're new to the show, watch it on Netflix. You can watch it streaming on Netflix. But the reason I share that is because, like, I had to leave for 3 months. No contact with my GM at the time, Julie Wilcox, my family, our trainers, and I feared that it would fall apart. And so I had to go up and be sequestered up in Malibu, California for 3 months while, like, Fitness Quest 10 with 42 teammates approximately at the time would operate normally. Now, interesting enough, Fitness Quest 10 grew during that time, so it told me maybe I should take more time off. But I did fear things falling apart during that time, because imagine you or anyone. By the way, whether you own a business, whether you're part of a business, I think this topic is a good one, because it's all about how do you grow in business as well. So I think that's a great question.
Yeah. So you talked about, you kind of just made a funny comment there where you're like, well, maybe I should take more time off. And I know that when you're starting a small business, it's hard to take time off. You kind of feel like you need to be working all the time. Like, I could literally be working round the clock every single day if I wanted to. But I know that that's not a good habit. And it's not a habit that I want to start now, because I feel like that could carry over potentially and be detrimental. So what are some habits that you think that small business owners should adopt early on?
Well, I'll be the first to admit, when you're starting a business, it's going to be a lot of hours. It's going to be a lot. So I'll be the first to admit also, not everyone should start a business. Not everyone should, and you need to do your business plan. You need to do your X's and O's. You need to make sure you do your financial forecast, your spreadsheets, and knowing that normally when you do your financial forecast, the revenue is going to be half of what you project. It's going to be double the expenses, maybe more than that when you do that. But you got to spend a lot of time initially at your business. Don't let anyone fool you, tell you not, because if you want a successful business, especially in the beginning, you got to be there. Number one, you got to be present at your business, especially something like training or any service business. Any service business. Naturopathy is a service business. You have to be present. And I think some people think, well, I want time freedom, so I'm going to start a business. Wrong. Not in the beginning. If you want your time freedom, just know going into it, you're going to be spending time there, and you're going to have to grind. You have to roll up your sleeves, and it's going to take a lot of effort. And there's going to be, 7 days a week in the beginnings many times, because you got phone calls and everything else, which another habit is you do have to make sure that you do take care of yourself during this time. Even during that time when I was opening Fitness Quest 10, I was still working out. You gotta carve that time out for you, whether it's early in the morning, late at night, at lunchtime. You just got to get in your schedule to take care of yourself. I also think when you're starting a business, when you're all in, that all in mentality is you've got to be that person who constantly invests in yourself, because, like, both personally and professionally, you're investing in your business. You got to step away from your business. You got to work on your business. You got to work. You got to go to live events still. You got to go to whatever the different conferences and events in naturopathy are, because you got to show your face, and you got to continue to learn what are the new cutting edge marketing techniques and the different things that you need to do to grow your business. It's like it's a health business, just like Fitness Quest 10. It's a customer service driven business on that. And then maybe lastly, what I would say is you got to show up in your community. A habit. Get used to showing up in your community. I think there's a lot of people in service related business today that think they can just open up a business, hang a shingle from the shop, and do some social media posts. And because you're posting on Instagram and Facebook, you think that's enough. Wrong. That's not good. You need to get out there and shake hands and kiss babies. Own within 3 miles of that facility. You got to get out there, and literally everyone's got to know Carly Go Lightly and the naturopathic work that you do. Because if you're on a mission, a crusade, I'll call it a crusade to help more people, so they don't have to suffer anxiety, stress, irritable bowel syndrome, and everything else that you had and that you suffered. Is like you got to go on a crusade and say, hi, I'm Carly Go Lightly. I'm a naturopathic physician, and here's how I can help you be your absolute best, right? So to me, anyone, and you don't have to own a biz, by the way. I have trainers at Fitness Quest 10. You want to get busier? Go out and shake hands and make sure everyone knows who you are. You don't have to be an owner to do that. You've got to have the desire to be your best to do that. And nothing makes, an owner, an employee, an independent contractor, or whatever someone is. Forget the title. It's about, hey, if you're on a mission to help people get better, then you got to go out today. You got to network with your people, and you got to make sure that it's not about you selling you and your great background. It's about how do you take all of your experiences that you've had, which is amazing, and say the experience I've learned in my life, I can help you feel better, be better, get your health to another level. Through naturopathic medicine and do that. So those are a few habits, but the bottom line is it doesn't matter what you do, Carly, or anyone listening to the podcast today. If you work for a company, and whether you're new to that company or you've been there for 25 years, man, it's all about habits, and you got to set up your morning habits, your evening habits. You got to chunk your day, because as a business owner, you're going to get so distracted with all the things and calls that you could potentially be distracted with. Chunk your time. Turn off your phone when you're working on something that's important. You're writing a blog article, or you're doing some writing up your reports on your patients, whatever it may be. So anyway, I love the topic of habits.
It's a really good topic.
It is.
And I like that you brought up the idea of getting in the habit of going out in your community and making sure that people know that you're there and that you're there to help them. Because I think that, when we're in these service-based industries, the whole idea is that we're here to serve. We're not here for ourselves. We're here for the people out there.
Yep.
So making a big impact in the community is something that I know is really important for me. And I know it's really important for you, which is part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you today. So aside from what you already mentioned, what are some other keys that you would say to developing a strong presence in your community and in your industry? Again,
show up. Get out, show up, be there. I'm talking like go ask to speak at every darn organization in your community. Not only Toastmasters, which is good for any business professional, but like Kiwanis Club, Knights of Columbus, PTA, PTO, all of these different organizations donate to every silent auction in your city, in your town, in your community, in your jurisdiction. Donate services because all of a sudden they're doing a silent auction, and oh look, Carly Golightly has donated 6 sessions of integrative functional medicine. Guess what? 200 people just heard that. They're like, who's Carly Golightly? And then they see you like, hey, I like what she's about. Sponsor teams in your community. Sponsor them. Do you know, I still remember when I was a young kid, Carly, I played for Cosmo's Auto Body Pirates. I still remember this. I was like a little kid, the black and yellow. I was on Cosmo's Auto Body. All you Jerseyites out there, anyone remember Cosmo's Auto Body? Yeah, they sponsored my Little League team, and I was darn proud of it. Guess what? I want every kid in my community having the Fitness Quest 10 name on the back with a logo that they played for the Fitness Quest 10, Globetrotters or whatever it is, Team Impact. Sponsor teams. And sometimes you're like, well, how do you get the ROI on that? Well, you know what? The ROI to me is those kids know, they remember you. So as they grow up, and the parents, that you helped a kid out on that, because it's so great. I played for Cosmos Volleyball. They played for your team as well. Yeah. And then the other thing I would just say is for your community, not just your community where you live, but your community for you, naturopathic medicine. Show up at your events. Show up at the networking events, at the annual conferences. Show up and network. Because for you, starting your business, and you're a young gal starting out on this, man, your future is bright. I would say write for the industry publications. Ask to speak there. You can't speak if you don't actually apply to speak. You want to become a leader in your organization. Hey, there's a lot of people say, hey, Todd, how do I speak in the fitness industry? You got to first apply, right? So apply to speak at IDEA or URSA or, Perform Better or any of the shows that are out there. You've got to be involved, right? People are like, hey, how do you present at my mentorship or my mastermind program? You got to actually show up and be part of the organization, right? So I think contribute to your industry as well by going to those events.
Yeah. I think by doing that, people really kind of like set themselves up to separate themselves from,
Absolutely.
like the signal and the noise. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like the health and fitness industry is just so full of people, and what we're really trying to do is become individuals and have an individual message in all of this. And I know personally for me, that's something that I really want to do, is to be unique, to be separated from the pack. And what were some things that you have done that you feel like have really made you stand out in your industry?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think just trying to always perfect my craft of being a great coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of trying to like tap into every darn spirit. It doesn't matter if it's a 9-year-old kid or if it's a pro athlete or it's a grandma. I want to make you better. I take personal pride in the fact that whoever I'm working with, whether here it's at Fitness Quest 10 or if I'm coaching a fitness professional, I want to help them get better. I want my language of love is affirmation. So when someone affirms me with an email, a social media post saying your words, your training, your coaching made me better, that's what fires me up. So I love when I'm coaching someone, again, physically coaching them or coaching them virtually, and they're like, you made me better. Or, you inspired me to do something. So I think just having that coaching ability has made me unique, because I am devoted, even to this day, 25 years, after kind of beginning my coaching career, is like, I still love working with the clients I've worked with for 20 years and trying to see how we can get better and push the envelope, right? On that, I think being authentic and I think being real, all those, I'll call them rhetorical things people would say, I think that's who I am. And I think by my mindset of I want to make sure that my business is true to my purpose, that my business aligns with my purpose, has allowed us to be successful, because I think it's congruent. If there's incongruency, I think then you hit energy blocks and you feel like you're always climbing an uphill battle and that you can't get ahead. And then lastly, I'd say this for anyone out there who's looking to separate yourselves from the masses instead of just like you say, getting lost in the noise. Here's what I'd say, and let's just cut to the chase. Be bolder. Be bolder. Like, don't be afraid to share what's on your mind. Don't be afraid to share who you are. And then you're like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like, I was addicted to drugs, or I went through a bankruptcy, or I went through a divorce. This isn't me. I'm just sharing hypothetically speaking. Like, you got to put yourself out there more, and you got to get outside your comfort zone, because what I have found is the more real you are, people are like, oh my gosh, guess what? I went through a divorce, or I have a son or daughter who is addicted to drugs, or I know someone who was in jail, or I was in jail. And like, to me, like, you got to be bolder and put yourself out there. But a lot of times, like, oh, people are going to judge me. I spent my 20s always wondering what people are going to say about me in my football career. It was like, forget it. Whoever you are, you got to put yourself out there, and you got to attract the people you're supposed to serve and not worry about the people you're not supposed to serve, because we live predicated on the fact of, oh my gosh, what is she going to say about me? What is she going to say if she doesn't like me? And is she going to go blow me up on Instagram? You know what? I think you got to be great with who you are and go out there and share that, and don't be bashful about that, because someone down the street is beating you to the punch because they're marketing better than you. And the bottom line is, you do probably care for them more than most other people. I always say this is out care everyone. Out care everyone. Truly, genuinely, at your heart of hearts, in your soul, out care people. And it doesn't matter if you're a trainer, you're a coach, you're a fit pro, you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're a naturopathic doctor, you're an allopathic doctor, you're a physician who opened your own practice and you got liability insurance through the roof. You're an attorney, and even though you charge $500 an hour, guess what? You still got big expenses. Like, the bottom line is, people, if we're in a people business, which all of us are, and many of you listening in are, if you're in a people business, it's about how you treat people, how you care for people, how do you make people feel? And if you make people feel special, you make people feel VIP, they want to do business with you because they trust you, they believe in you. And now all of a sudden, you can start really helping them because they come open to you. And when they open up to you, then you can work your magic with the medicine that you use, the medicine I use. Right, the medicine I use is basically hormones too. Right. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins with training and getting people's minds right. It's all of that aspect. So out care everybody.
I love that. I really do. I think
I'm fired up right now,
that
by the way. I'm
saying?
fired up right now. I'm spitting fire over here. Y'all better be picking it up right now as you're listening, because I'm getting a little bit fired up.
What does it say is that people don't care how much you know until they know
Know
how much you care.
Right.
Exactly. And I love that.
Easy to say,
Hard to do.
and a lot of people, a lot of business, like, oh, we out care everyone. I don't know, show it year after year that you truly do care, because it's easy to care for people when things are going right. But what about when things are going wrong? What if you're up against the fence? Like, how do you show people you care? What are the little things that you do for people? So I think that is a great quote. I love that quote. I just think it's. By the way, speaking of like even lowering anxiety and stress, it's like just truly when you're in conversation with people, how do you slow down enough to listen to people? Mm-hmm. That's one thing I'm always like, even now, like I'm busy as heck, like everyone else is busy as heck listening to this now. Mm-hmm. How do you actually slow down enough to be so present in your conversation, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I got to do all these emails. I got to write this article. I got to, I've got these expenses I got to do. I got to write the bills, and all these things in your head, but you're having a conversation. How do you slow down enough to listen? Yeah. I think that's something that's important is in this crazy, busy world that we're in. Folks, today, take a breath, slow down, and really listen to what people are saying. Listen, don't always be first to talk. I've actually had conversations, given feedback to rookie trainers, people green in business. I'm like, stop talking. It's not about your former athletic career playing football. It's listen to what their needs are. They don't care that you were an all-star 20 years ago in football. What they care about is they've got type 2 diabetes, they're overweight, and they just want to believe in you that you can help them. Yeah. Make it about them. Make them the hero of the story, right? Yeah. Make them the hero of that. And I think those are some things that can really shift the conversation so that you can serve people even better.
Yeah, beautifully said. So this one is kind of not off the train there.
Fire away. Yeah. I'm liking you firing these questions away. I'm glad I didn't prepare too much for these questions. You asked me on the treadmill the other day. I said, yeah, as long as you're willing to do this via podcast, I'm hoping that regardless of the role where you're in, whether you want to start a business, you don't want to start a business, whether you're in business for 20 years, I believe everything we're talking about right now can certainly serve someone, even if you're working for a business, because everyone wants to get better. People want to get better, right? People want to, whether it's better to help more people, to make more money, to raise, to rise up within an organization. Yeah. These are all things that can help you be your best.
Yeah.
Keep firing away.
Okay. So next question that I had for you was, so how do you set yourself up now? So in a small business now, so that you can scale in the future without it being too much of a headache? I know you've kind of talked about starting out with no business plan or anything like that. And I know that obviously is not the optimal way to do it. So aside from making sure that you have a business plan, what are some other things that you could do to make scaling easier in the future?
Scale in the future?
Yeah.
Well, I think a couple things. Number one, again, I don't want to undermine the fact that when you're starting anything, it is going to take a lot of hard work. Yeah. Folks, if you're going to start a business, y'all better get ready to buckle up the bootstraps, pull up your jeans, and get ready to rock and roll, because it's going to take work. And oh, by the way, 20 years later, you're going to be doing the same thing. It doesn't get easier, folks. You got to get more strategic. So the first thing I'd say is to scale, you got to be strategic about what you're going to be scaling. What do you want to scale? For us, we've got a lot of different offerings. It's like, okay, which one are we going to choose? What I would ask is this: what do you want your future to look like? Like in 3 to 5 years, what do you want your future to look like, Carly? What do you want to be doing with your time and in your business? What do you want to create? And including not just in business, but life. Like, you want to own a home someday, or a condo someday, or do you want to get a second home like someday? Okay, whatever your lifestyle is going to be, what do you have to do to create in your business on that? I would ask yourself, like, what are your systems? I remember my systems stunk in the beginning. I read Michael Gerber's E-Myth book, and it's like how to systemize your business. And we are much more savvy and sophisticated today than we were then. But starting out to scale your business, what I would say is you got to make sure you do set up systems that are going to allow you to be successful. What technologies can you infuse today? So when someone starts working with you today, they're like, wow, this Carly, her business is really streamlined, and it's a little more technological than our archaic system that we used back in the day, where we had a shoebox where we had literally cards that you had to like literally manually cross out 1 through 48, and you're on session 12 of 48 sessions. It was the honor system, the most archaic system that you ever could imagine, that cost us tens of thousands of dollars in the long run, because that was just like, technology didn't even exist like it does now. But I would say set that business up so you can systemize it and scale it. And then lastly, like, stay in tune with your audience and your avatar. So like, who are you trying to attract? And in your avatar, stay in tune with them. Because guess what? Even though I've had clients for almost 20 years, some of our clients have been here for that long, and we've got new clients obviously all the time as well, I think consumer insights do change. The way people consume information change. Heck, look at the way fitness has changed. People aren't consuming, consumers aren't even consuming fitness the way they did 20 years ago, when it was just big box gyms. It was studios. Now there's a lot of online digital ways that you can consume that. Look at the way we use MyZone technologies and have different challenges that we have on that. So it's an ever-changing environment, and I think you look at like Netflix. They kick Blockbuster out of business, streaming video. Uber, the taxi cabs are like practically out of business. Uber now, it's changed the way, it disrupted the way one did business. Expedia, it used to be you'd call a travel agent. Anyone remember travel agents, by the way? I used to love travel agents. Like, not anymore. It's called Expedia. And Expedia, you book travel often through a service like an Expedia. What I would say is, where's the industry, your industry, my industry, whatever industry you're in, how do you disrupt it so you look and say, how do I scale it for the future? Because it's got to probably involve digital. It's got to be technological. Yeah. There's got to be systems. But how do you still maintain that kinesthetic feel when someone walks in, they're like, hey, it smells good in here. It feels good in here. I like this. Because I think when you come out of the gates, you'd have to come out of your gates like making an impression. Yeah. And even though we had carpet on the floor, refurbished equipment, and we had to bootstrap our way because we didn't have a lot of money, I still wanted to make a good impression. And always making sure you're smiling and it's a friendly face, because people remember the energy they feel. Right. They don't remember what you say, but they remember how you made them feel. Yeah. And that's important, so that if it's you, or if it's someone at the front desk, a director of first impressions, it's crucial how you make them feel.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about you didn't have very much when you started up, and you had refurbished equipment and stuff like that.
I love it.
Yeah. So when you're starting up, finances can be really, really tight. So one of the things that I'm thinking about is, say you've got like a small sum of money to start your business. What are some of the areas that you would invest in, knowing what you know now?
How much money?
Let's say like under $5,000.
Under $5,000. Funny you say that, because actually the only investor I had, an angel investor, Bill and Kathy Cotton up in San Jose, my future wife's aunt and uncle believed in me so much that they lent me $5,000. And that was so much money. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna be rich. And the loan was, you gotta repay it back within 2 years at no interest. Like, there's no interest.
That's awesome.
Right? Yeah. So personally, I was like, I'm going to pay these guys back in a year. Yeah. And I did. 1 year, I paid them back. But to answer your question, like, what would I do with that money? Well, again, for me, I bootstrapped it pretty early because it went pretty quick, because like IKEA like got expensive quick. Before you know it, you have a couple $1,000s because you got to get a desk, and you got to get some furniture for the front area, the lobby, because the lobby is a very important area, because you want to feel good. And you should have a little waterfall up there, because when you have streaming water, when you look at feng shui, and that represents harmony and happiness and wealth. So you have that. I think little things I'd invest in that front area, making sure that lobby is tranquil, that someone comes in, they feel like, you know what, I really like the feel of this place. It smells good. There's some scents in there, whether it be orange or lavender, whatever it may be. I think the colors of your place count. So investing in the way it looks and feels is important. I would say, at least in the gym, in the fitness studio area, never have white walls. White's boring. Don't be boring. You can't be vanilla in today's day. So what are you going to do to give an air and a feel about something to make sure it feels good on that? So $5,000 goes by like that. It goes by so fast. That thing got eaten up real quick because I remember when I first got my sign, Fitness Quest 10, it cost $3,000. I almost had a heart attack at age 29 because I was like, how can a sign cost $3,000? They do. They're expensive, and again, everything's expensive. So I maxed out my credit cards. Sorry, Dave Ramsey, on that. I did. It was my only option because I didn't have any money in the bank. I said I had no money, no clients, no business plan. It's the truth. I had a $5,000 loan. I maxed everything out, and fortunately, I was able to survive.
Wow. It's amazing. It really is.
Is this helping? Is this answering the questions?
Man, this is so
helpful. Is this
helpful.
helping you start your business here soon?
I hope it's as helpful for everyone else as it has been for me. I really do.
Absolutely.
So,
one more question.
this is my last question for you.
All right.
So this is based off of one of your recent Instagram posts. So you made a post about marketing being about 50% of the game for some of your projects. So for someone like me who is so new to this whole business idea, like I've spent the last 4 years learning medicine, I don't know anything about business and marketing or very, very little.
Right.
So marketing sounds like this big, huge, ambiguous word, right? So when you say marketing for specific projects, what do you mean by marketing? Like what kind of marketing? Are you talking email marketing? Are you talking social marketing? Are you talking boots to the ground?
So you want to know if you're starting, what would I do?
Yeah.
Now.
Yes.
If I was opening now, what would I do?
Yes.
How much time do you have?
All day, Todd.
I know you have all day.
day.
Podcast fans, I know right now you're probably at the end of your workout. Like, oh man, TD, you got to rap. But let me tell you, I'll go rapid fire. I'm just gonna go off the top of my head because marketing. I said that in that Instagram post about marketing being 50% of your product. Let me preface it by saying this: if your product stinks, it doesn't matter how much you market. It doesn't matter how good your marketing is. You got to have a great product. You got to have a great culture in that product. So I want to make sure that you know it's not confusing, that you've got to make sure that your product is world class and that the customer service is world class. In today's uber competitive space, it's got to be up to snuff. Now, what would I do? I already mentioned a couple things. The first thing I would do is I'd make sure I get out there and shake hands. That's free. I'd make sure I network and people are like, hey, I really like that guy. He came out and he shook my hand, and when he did, he gave me a handshake and he gave me a bag. I'd probably give them an Under Armour bag full of great swag with it. A Fitness Quest 10 water bottle. I'd give them my WOW book. I'd give them stuff, including a little guest pass to come to Fitness Quest 10 and experience our culture. They ain't throwing away a good swag bag. Now, I'm not saying you got to go out and spend $1,000 on that, but to go out and shake hands and give a little gift bag with some of your services and welcome them in for a complimentary treatment, I think that would be good. I would give away some service in the beginning because all you want is people in your door, because those you're going to build your business on referrals and by word of mouth, but asking them for help, not just hoping that they're going to help you. That's number one. I would write an email once a week. Once a week, I'd write a weekly email that's 100% content laden. I want that email full of juice. For you, man, it's endless. Think about topics of health topics and conditions, diseases and things. And then here's the key. Folks, don't just write the email. Carly, write the email, but then make that email a blog. Then take that blog and post it on your Facebook. Now you've hit 3 different mediums, because when you do that and you take that blog, if it's streamed on your WordPress website, now that's going to help your search engine optimization. So when someone hits an irritable bowel syndrome in Google, you're going to possibly hop into the first or second page, which is more likely someone's going to use you. Because I am still in the belief that someone still does Google websites and is going to look for your website, or they're going to find you through that. I would target on Facebook ads. I'd have target ads on Facebook and have an ad spend $10 to $20 a day. Do the math. How much is that going to be? 30 days in a month, $300 to $600. Good advertising, because you can actually today, very, very cheap still, is you could say, I want to attract men or women between 35 and 55 years old that have these current conditions and target the heck out of them.
Have that match your avatar.
Absolutely. Don't just do a regular post on that. You want to have some paid advertising that's very, very specific, and then have a trial offer or a trial opportunity for them to get into. And remember, with anyone, when you're doing ads, you always want to sell benefits, not the features. Sell the benefits, not the features. I made the mistake early on as we have personal training, massage therapy, Pilates. Who cares? Who cares that we have that? Those are features of Fitness Quest 10. What are the benefits? What are the emotional benefits? We can help you lose weight, feel great, get your mind right. Oh, I want to lose weight. I want to feel great. You sell the benefits, not the features of any time you're doing an ad. By the way, folks, this is some good stuff. I like this. Good questions. I'm glad we're here. I would do a live. Like Instagram, Facebook live once a week. Okay. Have the Carly Show. What are we going to call it? Let's just tone it. What's the Carly Show going to be called? Let's just do it now. What's your new show going to be called?
Real Talk with the Doc.
Oh, look at this. We're creating shows upon shows. We just created another show. Real Talk with the Doc?
Yeah.
Bingo. What day are you going to do it on?
Let's say Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. At what time?
Tuesdays at 3 p.m.
Tuesday, 3 p.m. Guys, promo for Carly right now. Tuesdays, 3 p.m. West Coast time, 6 o'clock East time. I want you to join Real Talk with the Doc. Ask all of your health questions to Carly Golightly. There you go. There's a promo for you.
Love it.
15 to 30 minutes long. Go live. It's good for your Instagram feed. It's good for your Facebook feed. And by the way, guys, if you're starting a business or if you already have a business and you're looking for marketing ways, guess what? Just do what I'm telling you and it will work. Make sure it's 100% content laden. Take people's questions just like I take your questions on the Impact Show as well. By the way, when you're done with that live, upload it to IGTV and post it in your Instagram feed. Oh my gosh, I'm giving you like 50 different ways you can market your business and you're going to be like, Todd, I'm so busy. I don't know what to do with my time. I need to hire 50 people because my business is exploding. Then you thank me later. I would do 5 to 10 stories on Instagram because people watch stories. Just like y'all are trolling me on Instagram. Y'all better be hitting me up on the DM and give me some questions for the podcast. 5 to 10 stories a day, every day, 5 to 10 stories, not just on naturopathic medicine. When you're training at Fitness Quest 10, when you're out, what you're eating. People want to follow you. Most people, some of you are hung up like, oh, they don't want to look at my stories. Yes, they do. Get over it. Get over yourself. Post your workouts. Post your personal thoughts. 1 post a day on Facebook and Instagram, ideally, as long as it doesn't overwhelm you. I don't want you getting anxiety, folks, on that. But shoot for 1 post a day if you want to do that. And if you're like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming, then hire somebody. Get an intern. Get someone that you can pay $12 an hour, or get an intern. Get your young sons and daughters to help you out on that. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 more. I'd have them up. Am I overwhelming you?
My brain feels like it's swelling right now.
Good. Welcome to the entrepreneurial world. I would do a monthly meetups once a month. Have I would say coffee, but maybe it's protein shakes with Carly or whatever. I don't know what kind
of. We could do coffee too.
Okay,
it's high in antioxidants.
Okay, so you're a coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's another topic. All right, good. I would do monthly meetups in the sense of like, I don't know, go for a hike with all your community. Do a charity workout. Do a happy hour. Doesn't mean you need to go out and drink, whatever, but you can go out and eat, have a little fun on that. And then the last thing I would say, now, folks, listen up to this. Use the 5x5 system. The 5x5 system. I have a guy on my team named Frank Puker. Frank heads up my Todd Durkin Mastermind group. He used to own a training studio in New Jersey, and this 5x5 system allowed him to become a 7-figure business before he sold it back there. The 5x5 system is this. Speak to 5 people a day. Speak to them that are not current clients. Can you do that? Speak to 5 people per day. Number 2, text 5 people per week. Text 5 people per week. All of you can text something inspirational, aspirational to 5 people a week. Number 3, write 5 handwritten notes to clients and thank them. Oh my gosh, a handwritten note? Wow. Would that make an impression or not? That's number 3. Number 4, invite 5 clients to dinner per year. Per year, not per month. Per year, 5 clients. Watch what happens. And the last thing is you spend 5 days a year at a retreat or a conference. Carly, I know you're going to have a retreat someday, but I'm just seeding it, your idea. But folks, in your conference, in your industry, in your whatever it is, attend a conference, an event. Come to, I'm going to have a mega event later on this year. Come to that. It will be in the fall. Bring your spouse, bring your team, bring your family members, bring your whole tribe of people, because we're going to have massive mega motivation on that. 5x5. Now, I know you got to rewind the tape about 2 minutes because you want to like, oh my God, that was 5 things. Like, oh my gosh, yup, 5x5. 5x5. Rewind the tape 2 minutes and listen to it again. Do those 5x5 and your business will explode. I don't know how many things that was, but I'm going to stop there because like you just got to do those things and put on repeat, rinse and repeat, do it over and over again. And oh my gosh, your business is going to explode. Drop the mic.
Boom.
What else you got? Anything else?
That's it.
Well, listen, I appreciate you asking me the question about how do you start your business. Folks, wherever you are with your business, whether you want to start a business, whether you're in business for many years, or you work for a business. That 5x5 system, by the way, if you do that 5x5, your career will be amplified. If you're a green trainer, you're a green naturopathic doctor, you're a medical, and you're like, I want to get my career better, do the things that we just suggested, and I promise you, you want the owner's mentality, period. If you want to climb the scale, your team, your company, your mission, your vision has to align with that. I want you to get out there, and I want you to shake your little tail, and you got to hustle. You got to keep hustling. And my closing remarks are this: keep working on your skills. Keep getting better and honing your craft. Be professional. Be a pro. Make sure you smell good. Make sure you use good language. Make sure your body language exudes positivity. Provide exceptional customer service. Don't forget to continue to grind and hustle, and always, always enjoy the process. Carly, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Todd.
That was a fun session. Folks, there you have it. I hope you had a great value in today's Impact episode. I had a blast. Carly, best of luck to you. I know with the information and content provided in this alone, you're going to go out and make great things happen, so best of luck to you.
Thank you, Todd.
Hey, where can we find more about you? If someone wants to follow you, I know they can go to live on Tuesdays between that time, but do you have an Instagram?
Yes, I do. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Both are at Holistic Fit Doc. And then my website is Dr. Go Lightly, spelled just like it sounds.
Go
ND.
Lightly.
Go Lightly. You'll never forget it. So it's Dr. Go Lightly, ND, as in naturopathicdoctor.com.
There you have it. So follow Carly and her path from starting her business and all the way. This seed was planted like when she was 13 years old. So think about that. Her seed was planted when she was 13 years old, and her going through the struggles that she went through. And you can learn more about her and her story at those social media sites, her website, and everything else. Go there and find out more. And if you are into naturopathic medicine, which you should be, like I always talk about it quite a bit, is follow her, learn from her, and continue your own journey along the health and fitness line. So folks, have an incredible day. Get out there. Remember, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and always, always create impact.